Hi, this is Kelly with Holistically Rooted, and this is
Timmy from Timmy's World.
we are talking ice storm and kind of our why for preparedness. So, our family 13 years ago, long before Timmy was around, actually went through an ice storm in Northeast Arkansas, and it was like an inch and a half of ice that came overnight. It was super fast. It looked beautiful. It looked like Narnia, and then we had snow on top of it. But our house was without power for 8 days, and that was actually very minimal compared to the rest of the area. So, an ice storm 13 years ago is really our why as to why I became more preparedness minded, a prepper, kind of whatever you want to call it. So, we currently have 4 boys, ages 15, 14, 10, and 8. But 13 years ago, we were a smaller family with just 2 boys one had just turned a year old and another was 2.5 years old. We lived in Northeast Arkansas, and there was this massive ice storm that came through. It was kind of crazy. There was an earthquake that morning, and then we had this horrid ice storm come through. We got 1.5 inches of ice. Here's some pictures of some of what it looked like. There was part of it that looked so gorgeous. It looked like Narnia, and we even got snow on top of it, so it was absolutely beautiful. But it knocked our power out for 8 days in our house, and that was actually very minimal compared to some of the community. Our neighborhood was connected with a college in the area, and so the power actually got restored relatively fast. People even compared it to almost like Hurricane Katrina type damage, because it was somewhat just a few years after that, where literally all of the power poles were just snapped. It was really, really brutal. We lived in this neighborhood that was connected to a college. It was old World War II housing that we were little flat roofed houses that had little to zero insulation. So whatever temperature it was outside, you felt it inside. And so it was really, really cold. It didn't like just get ice and snow and then warmed up. It stayed frigid temperatures. You could see your breath inside the house. I remember my little toddler, who was just 13 months old, we had him bundled up in layers and this hoodie, like all in one onesie. It was this adorable Oshkosh bagosh. Like, I still remember it to this day. And he was just so cold, but they just played and had fun. I mean, I think he was warm because we bundled him up, but they had on like multiple pairs of socks. We had no fireplace. We did have a gas stove, and we had a ton of food in our freezer, and you could store your food outside in the ice. So we had plenty to eat, and thankfully still lots of water. But it was a huge wake-up call for me to want to be able to provide warmth and a safe environment for our family. I still remember the night of the ice storm. You could literally hear tree branches cracking and falling. Like, it sounded like they were going to impale our roof. It was quite a scary time. So fast forward to today, 13 years later, we now live in South Carolina, and there is an ice storm coming in a couple days, and thankfully it does not sound like it's anything like what we experienced in Arkansas. We're looking at maybe like 1/4 of an inch in the ice, but they said expect power outages. And now I've lived with more preparedness in mind, and these are some of the things that I'm doing to get ready for this week's storm. So first of all, one of the things I love about the log home that we bought 4 years ago is this wood stove. This is how we can heat our home. We do have propane heat downstairs, and we just got brand new ductwork and a brand new system upstairs. So we do have the conveniences of the modern world if needed and if we want to use them. But we've actually chosen to save money this winter, and we have not really used much of our propane except overnight. And so we are using our wood stove a ton and absolutely love it. So this is a great way. We've got a bunch of wood right here even ready to go. And my husband was just checking outside. So make sure you have some source of heat, whether it's like a little buddy burner or something, and just make sure that it's safe for indoors. If you have a generator, you could even plug in space heaters. And then another thing that we're doing is my family loves, I should have grabbed one. I gave the boys each this adorable little lantern one Christmas, and it just pulls up. It's LED lights. It's super safe. While we've done candles, I have made homemade candles, emergency candles. I really like the safety with these LED lights, especially with 4 active boys. I don't have to worry about candles. Okay, so these are the adorable little lamps, and you actually just pull it. Oh, that's so bright. You just pull it open. You just pull it open, and they are so bright. So I like how this would light up a room, and I'll have some available for like bathrooms to our living room and all sorts of different places. But I love that they're safe and portable as well. So I'll leave a link to where we got these from in case you are interested as well. But those are our lamps. So I made sure we checked all the batteries in our lanterns. And then one of the things I have done even way back 13 years ago is I make sure all the laundry is done. So if we lose power, we have all of our laundry clean and we aren't worrying about that. So I also kind of go into crazy cooking and baking mode. Does anybody else do that? So usually before, whether it's a hurricane or a winter storm or anything, I go into crazy cook mode, and I'm making like breakfast foods and breads and different things. We make a lot of our breads from scratch. We eat gluten-free, at some points grain-free, and so I typically would make a lot of that. And my husband's always like, okay, right? His job the night before the storm is usually washing all of the dishes from all of the crazy stuff that I've been cooking. So like I'm gonna make our homemade biscuits, which I have a recipe for, and these strawberry bars for breakfast, and some tortillas and different things. Bad story from 13 years ago, actually. So I was in crazy cook mode. I had roasted an entire chicken the night before the storm, and we had a wonderful dinner. I put it in the fridge. The power went out that night, and we were eating things out of the fridge the next day. And sadly, though, what happened, we did not realize this. I tried the chicken, and I was like, oh, this doesn't taste right. Honey, do you want to try this? And my husband tried it, and apparently the chicken had not refrigerated long enough from the time that I cooked it to the time that the power went out, and it spoiled, and he ended up with a mild food poisoning while we were dealing with the power outage and the ice storm. So that is not a wise decision. So if you just always make sure your food doesn't spoil before you eat it. And we had not been without power very long. It just had not gotten up to temperature fast enough or something like that. Anyway, I'm going to be making a big pot of soup, but I also have a lot of home canned food, from chicken to actually ready-made soups to we have oatmeal and lots of different things that we could cook actually on our wood stove if we needed to. We have little camping stoves as well. And just or we could even do it if the rain clears up tomorrow and we're still or if the rain clears up this week and we're still without power, we could do it on our gas barbecue grill outside. So lots of different options. Okay, another fun random thing, and I've not had to try this before, but we have 4 kids, and we have several with special needs, sensory different issues. They really like their own bed, and with power outages, it can get cooler upstairs or different places. Thankfully, our log home really retains heat and has such great insulation, just the logs themselves. So this may not even be too big of a problem, but one of the things that I did is I have hot water bottles. And what I would do is fill those up with boiling hot water, or not really boiling hot water, but hot water, and put it in the kids' beds to where even if I take it out by the time they go to sleep, it's warmed their bed to where they can sleep in their own bed. We don't have to make pallets down on the hardwood floor downstairs. We can if that's necessary or if they want to, and it's fun, but they can also just get a good night's sleep in their own beds thanks to these hot water bottles. So another just couple simple things that I will be doing, and I have done, is organize all of our blankets, our extra blankets, hats, coats, gloves. So if the kids by some chance get to go out to play and we actually get snow, that all of that's going to be ready to go as well. And then if for some reason, so we also have a water well that we get our water from. Our well supplies our water. And with that, we do have our generator set up to where it can tie into our well. But in order to save from generator use, if we lose power, we have filled up lots of gallon jugs. I save my vinegar jugs and I fill those up with water because those are safe. Vinegar is safe to drink and eat. Different things like that. I have saved some gallon like Castile soap jugs, but those would just be for hand washing. And then if you have concern also about longevity with power outages, you can fill your bathtubs up the night before the power outage, and that'd be good for like flushing toilets, washing hands, different things like that. So I'm going to show you some of the stuff that we have going on outside too. Okay, so today we have spent a lot of time outside just prepping different things as well, making sure our goats have enough straw and a warm environment for the cold. And then also we were running low on wood, believe it or not. So we had so many projects this summer and kind of had a bunch of interruptions that we had a bunch of wood stored up, but we just had never used our wood stove solely for heat, and we were down to almost like 3 days worth of seasoned wood. I'm going to go show you the woodshed. We do have a huge area of a huge pallet shed that we had cut up over Christmas, but it's only a couple weeks old, and then we have another one that's 3 months old, so we may have to use that. But my husband cut up another tree today that had been down for a lot of time, so it kind of been almost seasoning itself in the woods. Ideally, you want wood that's like 6 months to a year seasoned to be really dry. And while we have cut down many pine trees, or actually not even cut down, some of them have fallen, you can never burn pine in a wood stove or in your fireplace. It's not good with the sap. And so that wood is just that we will use outside. We are going to use a wood chipper and for the garden to, I've actually used some of that to build garden boxes as well. But I'm going to go show you our wood stove. Our wood for our wood stove over here. If I can get by these crazy boys who've been playing outside all day. Okay, so this is some of the wood for our wood stove that we burn inside, and we actually are probably going to have to break into this one. This is only 3 months old, but I think it's pretty dry. So my husband built these. We actually have 4 of them where they are pallet little wood sheds, and we just scrap stuff together. Like, so it is 3 different sides and then a pallet on the bottom as well. And we've used, some of them have aluminum roofs, and some of them are from old swimming pools, like because it's really a thick material. So we've done that, but we have been prepping some of our wood for that to be able to burn. And we're just getting ready for this ice storm, and in case we do lose power. But like I'd said before, we've actually been using this we'd actually been using this wood stove to heat our home a lot of the winter, so it's not anything different for us. We just wouldn't have our upstairs heat, which very rarely runs anyway because heat rises. So I'm very thankful. And so here it is. Okay, so one other thing that we did is up on the porch, we have our generator, and so we did a test run of it because it's been a while since we've used it, and then we made sure we had fresh gas for the chainsaw and for the generator in case we need that. And we do thankfully have our generator set up to where it can tie into our water well, our pump. I'm very thankful for a local friend who helped us do that several years ago before a hurricane. Because you need some electrician skills for that. So I really feel like we are prepared. I'm very thankful. This is one of the few times where I'm like, oh, we've been doing this preparation stuff for a while now, and there's something happening, and I feel really good about where we were, whereas I felt like in such a place of helplessness 13 years ago, just not having a way to heat our home or to keep my kids warm. And we were stranded because we could not get out on the roads. That was 13 years ago in the ice storm. And so I just feel a lot more prepared, and I'm thankful that preparedness is not out of fear, but it actually helps you just to be confident and use the things that God's given you, and take care of the people that God's given you and entrusted you with. So it's we're bundling up, but we're also celebrating a big birthday this weekend, and we're gonna have fun, whether there's power or not, and we're gonna stay warm and enjoy one another as a family with board games and lots of things that may not require power. So I'm actually going to have a video on kids and preparedness soon, and just kind of talk about all the different ways that you can help kids through different emergencies or just different situations like that that are sometimes tougher on kids, especially kids with special needs. So stay warm, guys. Enjoy your weekend. So those are some of the ways that we prepare, and basically after we went through 13 years ago, I just never want my kids to be cold. I was so thankful even back then. We had amazing friends that lived across the street, and we went and warmed up at their fireplace, but I just always want to make sure I keep my kids fed and warm and secure through no matter what type of storm, whether it's a hurricane or an ice storm or something crazy. We don't normally get winter storms in South Carolina. But we are prepared. We are thankful for our nice warm home and this awesome wood stove. So I hope y'all are staying warm. I know lots of different places across the southeast are going to be getting some winter precipitation. So I hope these tips help, and feel free to share your ideas and your tips as well so we can learn from one another.